If you think I'm nastier than Ripperoo driving with his feet, then please skip to this timestamp. Alright, on with the show. Forgive me, Father Bandicoot, for I have offended. I committed an act that's so treacherous, so evil, so mind-numbingly impossible, and I don't know what to do about it. I've tried to convince myself in the past few months that this would pass, that one day I would be on the right path, but it's a month till Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled comes out, and I don't know that they will ever come. I'm just flooded with pain, guilt, and suffering over what I have done. I don't know how I can go onto my YouTube channel and talk to everyone like everything is fine when it really isn't. If they ever knew the truth about this, I don't think they could ever look at me in the same way ever again. It's repulsive, it's disgusting, it's infuriating. I don't know how I'm ever going to.
Hey! Yeah, you! I've been doing this for 10 stinking years. Back and forward, and I'm sick of it!
Okay. I'll get to the point, which is something I need to work on anyway. The ultimate underlying truth of all truths is I don't like Crash Team Racing.
Well, I'm not gonna do it no more!
I got hot sauce in my bag, swag.
So before we get started, I'm actually going to show off two fan arts because these are actually both CTR themes, so they're really cool. This first one comes from Frankie Castro. This is a picture of Metal Duckles in his own CTR themed cart, and I'm loving this one. Thank you so much for this. It looks a lot like the default cart in Crash Team Racing, just with like the red color instead of the blue color, so thank you so much for this. And also we got another fan art from Kuro Gibson, and we got another cart of Metal Duckles over here, and this one he has his own face on the cart, which I think is really cool, and I think that's their own OC on the left over there in the nitrous oxide vehicle. So wow, thank you so much, y'all. It's really cool to see like these Crash Team Racing themed fan arts in particular, so I want to save them for this review. So thank you so much for making these. I really appreciate it. Anyway, let's back up. When I said I don't like Crash Team Racing, that's what I was afraid of for the longest time. Let's travel back to the end of November 2018 when I had purchased my Nintendo Switch with an attention-grabbing unboxing video and everything. One of the games I had purchased with the Switch was the Insane Trilogy. I've always been a Crash fan deep down, but I can't lie when I say that he had basically become non-existent to me for almost a decade. You see, my first Crash game wasn't any of the original classics. It was Crash Twinsanity. I loved that game to the very end and it still remains my favorite Crash game. I've even advocated for it to get a remake in multiple videos. But unfortunately, I got into the Crash franchise when it was basically on the brink of death. The next game I got after that was Crash of the Titans, and that game turned me off so much that I basically went the next decade or so just not thinking about Crash Bandicoot. And that was it. My interest in Crash died off sort of at the same time my interest in platformers overall did. But jumping back to recent times, I had heard of the Insane Trilogy about a year or so after it had come out, and when I saw it at GameStop, I thought this would be a good opportunity to sort of see what the hype was all about. And so as I started getting into the Insane Trilogy, we were met with this big announcement. You saw all those red dice appear at the homes of all your favorite YouTubers. Then at the Video Game Awards, all of our questions were answered. Crash Team Racing was getting remade into Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. The reaction was substantial to say the least.
Oh, wait! Oh, no!
Let's do it.
Oh!
It's real! Oh! It's real!
Jeez.
This kind of looks...
And so I found myself in this weird position. I like Crash. I had many fond memories of one game in particular, but I did not have the pleasure of growing up with these games that so many people consider to be national treasures, including Crash Team Racing. But despite all that, I felt this urge, this attraction you might say. I was on the other side of the country when this game was announced with no intention whatsoever to make any videos, but when this game was announced, I just wanted to talk about it. I didn't even have my microphone with me, but I was so unusually excited for this game that I had to discuss it. So I made a really horrible video just saying the game got announced. Like, the video really is terrible. I literally don't say anything else, and half of the video is actually the review trailer. But from that moment on, my seatbelt was strapped in and I was ready to get on that racetrack, leading to the release of Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled.
Let's go!
you boot up this game for the first time, you can immediately tell just how much love and respect that Beenox not only have for the original, but also the tireless effort they put into crafting this new experience. I mean, just look at the title screen. If you wait like 15 seconds, Crash gets extremely tired of holding his smile and actually gets a mouth cramp. That is awesome! But being met with all this upon starting the game was absolutely no surprise to me. If you've been following my Crash-centered YouTube channel or any Crash social media accounts, then you know that the journey to this game has been absolutely exhilarating. Once we got that first look at gameplay footage back in the winter, it felt like we were pounded endless amounts of information every single week. And just when we thought that they were finished with revealing new details for a while, boom! Beenox and Activision basically came up behind us and gave us quite a... Expectations were really high and everyone was basically in agreement that this game was going to be amazing, and anything that had anything critical to say about this game was essentially vanished to Twinsanity Island, where they would meet a painfully gory death at the hands of a grumpy marsupial. And playing this game the past weekend or so, it's pretty easy to see that Beenox have done a great job at meeting those enormously high expectations. All the tracks from Crash Team Racing are beautifully remade from the ground up with graphics comparable to the likes of Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I just want to take a quick second to thank Activision for providing me with a PS4 copy so that we could get a look at those sick retro skins and the PS4 exclusive Retro Stadium. I brought the Switch version myself, so I was able to see how both versions looked, and quite honestly, the Switch version is really not that much of a downgrade. Beenox did a wonderful job of packaging everything that's on the PS4 and Xbox One versions and making sure Switch owners weren't missing out in terms of visuals. The tracks themselves look absolutely gorgeous, and it actually occurred to me how I really felt about Team Sonic Racing's tracks. I loved how Team Sonic Racing looked overall, and this is a nowhere at all a dig at Sumo Digital, but I felt like some of the tracks in Team Sonic Racing were almost overwhelming to look at. Like, some of the levels had so many different themes and ideas going on in them that it was hard to distinguish what I should have been focusing on, which sometimes even led to me losing focus on the race and falling behind. But with Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled, there's not as much going on in these tracks. They're more simplistic, you might say, taking one or two concepts and focusing mainly on that. But I actually prefer how the tracks look in this game because it feels like the right amount, not too little, yet not too much. And this just made me realize that sometimes really intense, highly graphically powered environments are not always the best thing to have. Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled does an amazing job at meeting this balance, sort of the same way Mario Kart does. I promise this is the only time I'll bring up Team Sonic Racing, don't punch me, Knuckles. But I just wanted to bring this up because I think Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled, one of the best things about this game is sort of like almost fake simplicity. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, the game just comes off as very simplistic and very intimate, but as you dive deeper and deeper into the game, there's more and more things to uncover. But to like the average person, it looks like just another kart racing game, and it's very easy to kind of just like not be overwhelmed by everything you see on the screen and everything you got coming towards you, despite how much is actually packed into this game. It's a really weird balance that I feel like this game does a really good job at achieving. Now, not only do we have the tracks from Crash Team Racing, we also got all the tracks from Crash Nitro Kart, hence the name. What's really cool about the inclusion of these tracks though is that a lot had to be changed with these tracks because Crash Team Racing does not have the anti-gravity mechanisms that these tracks had in Crash Nitro Kart, so many changes were made to their designs when they were brought over to Nitro-Fueled. Also, some of the tracks in Nitro Kart were essentially clones of tracks in Crash Team Racing, so what Beenox did was actually change these tracks as well in terms of the aesthetics to make them stand out. An example of this is Inferno Island now being a track that takes place in the nighttime rather than the daytime. I had to say, as faithful as this game is, I really appreciate all the creative liberties Beenox took with designing this game. With a remake, it's difficult to walk that balance between pleasing the fans that want something extremely faithful to the original, but also pleasing others who want something new being brought over to this game. I'm personally on the side that if you truly just want an experience that's 110% faithful to the original, just go and play the original. Beenox really should be commended for putting their own spin on a classic game that doesn't at all diminish the core experience. But with a game that looks this good, does it play just as good? Well, you'll have to wait about 10 seconds to find out. So going back to my journey and getting to know Crash Team Racing over these past few months, I was initially and probably still met with a lot of criticism with my Crash videos because I unfortunately was not as familiar with the Crash franchise as your typical diehard Crash fan would be. For example, when I saw Komodo Joe in a trailer for the first time, I had no idea who he was and even took to Twitter to find out because I was genuinely curious. This was not received very well. Ironically, he's one of my favorite characters to play now solely because of his cutscene in Adventure Mode.
So, you've beaten all the other races on these tracks. Well, now you'll see why I'm the most feared driver on this circuit. I'll earn the right to face Oxide by crushing you into break dust. Let's race.
Literally an icon. So I figured it would be best for me to get my hands on the original game, try to get well acquainted with it before Nitro-Fueled came out. I finally got the game around March or April and was ready to experience a game that 20 years later would be causing mass hysteria. And when I started playing it, I didn't really get it. Okay, maybe it's because I'm not much of a kart racing fan in general, but playing through Crash Team Racing on the PlayStation 1, it was kinda hard for me to power through it. I was really struggling with getting the racing mechanics down, especially the drift boosting system, and the races in adventure mode were really not that kind to newcomers. As I kept trying to race through the game and failed time after time again, I honestly just lost interest and stopped playing the game. This made me pretty nervous because if I came out of the closet, as you might say, with my indifference towards the game, clearly I would have been met with tons of angry Crash fans. It's not like I'm new at all to unpopular opinions, but with Crash was different because this was a community that I was still trying to break into, not a community that I already felt like I was well established in. So I was hoping, maybe even praying at some point, that I would finally get Crash Team Racing when Nitro-Fueled came out because it clearly was special. I just didn't understand why. When I put in Nitro-Fueled, it basically felt just like it did with the PS1 original. If anything, they added a lot of visual cues that make the game easier for newcomers to get into. For example, the meter on the bottom right corner has little marks that help time when you should trigger a boost while drifting. Also, your kart will leak gas when it's okay to initiate a boost, but your tires will glow when it is the perfect time to initiate a boost. Playing Nitro-Fueled, I definitely had more fun playing this game compared to the original, simply because I felt like this game was trying to help me understand its mechanics more, and I really appreciate Beanox for doing that. But besides that, the core experience is still there. No new gimmicks, no major changes to the fundamentals. If you play Crash Team Racing, this is going to feel very familiar. And even if you don't like these small visual changes, you actually can change this in the options menu if you want to play it more like the classics. Beanox have literally thought of everything they could do to please everyone, and that's probably one of the most impressive things about this game is how effectively it pleases every player that touches it. But what is my final verdict on the gameplay? Well, before I can give my final opinion, I need to talk to you all about something. So I may have put down Crash Team Racing back in April, but in the latter half of May, I was browsing GameStop looking for ways to waste my money, and I stumbled upon a Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled demo in the store. For the next week or so, I came to this GameStop every other day to just practice the game in hopes that maybe I was not able to get into the game just because it was an old game. Maybe modern graphics and sounds have spoiled me so much that I can't get into older titles that easily anymore. Playing this demo was a solid experience for the most part, more of that gameplay I was trying desperately to understand from the original game. I did manage to get that shortcut in Polar Pass, so I started thinking maybe that was the key to enjoying this game, discovering all those key shortcuts you can take. But one day, I was browsing the internet and I came across this playthrough video by Premulus, and as I was looking through the comment section, I saw this comment about the drift boosting. Bro, do you not know how to boost? Power slide. This is not how it's done. Hold R1 to drift and then tap L1 when meter is red. You can do it 3 times in a row and then drift to the other side and do the same. CTR is meant to be played drift boosting as much as possible. Wait, did he say tap? Oh my gosh! Wait, that's how you drift boost? So let me actually show you all what I'm talking about because I'm sure a bunch of you are like really confused. Here's how I thought the drifting worked. You would press, I think it's this button. When it was time to do the first boost, I would actually, instead of tapping this button, I would hold it like this. And so I would go on for like 5 seconds holding both triggers like this. And then when it came to try to get the second boost, I tapped this button again like that. And obviously we all know why that didn't work. That's not how you play the game. And so I struggled playing through Crash Team Racing for almost 2 months because I didn't know how to drift boost. Yeah, I really am a dumbass, aren't I? The next time I went to GameStop to play this game, I kept this comment in mind and tapped the trigger button instead of holding it. When I did this, I finally got it. To see my character just effortlessly boost suddenly through the track added hundreds and thousands of dimensions to this game I simply did not see when I played the original. This is how you get better at this game. You get to know each track to the very brim and map out the exact spots, timing, and characters you need to execute just enough drift boost in the game to become a master player at Crash Team Racing. I felt like I had unlocked a crucial part to the understanding and enjoyment of this game. As a result of exploring this mechanic, this kart racer suddenly became the fastest, most exhilarating kart racer I have ever played, and I was hooked. But my learning does not stop there. I popped in Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled during release weekend, and while I did grasp a firm understanding of how its basic mechanics finally work, there was still much to learn. If you play adventure mode on medium mode, you're still very adequately challenged by the CPUs, especially in those tracks that have those infamous turns that seem impossible to navigate when you first come in contact with them. When I went online with the game, this was just exacerbated as many of the players I came in contact with were clearly veteran players that raced to the point that not even the second place racer was able to finish the race. There are so many different classes of CTR players out there, and it really just shows how simple innovation in the drifting system can result in such variety in how you play the game. Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled was smart enough to not make any significant changes to the gameplay, but instead make it more accessible to newcomers, but at the same time providing new challenges for veteran players. That is by far one of the biggest strengths of this game. I don't need to go on further at just how special the racing in CTR is. You know it, I know it. It truly is one of the most unique kart racing experiences I've ever had the pleasure of playing, and I look forward to continuing to master its mechanics. Beyond the core gameplay, Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled offers almost an infinite amount of ways to incentivize continued investment. Once you beat nitrous oxide in the adventure mode, you still have all these various races and missions to complete to truly 101% of the campaign. And beyond that, you also can play all these different races locally, along with a battle arena mode that contains modes from both Crash Team Racing and Crash Nitro Kart. There's also a newly added pit stop, which is basically where you can unlock the bulk of this game's content. Each race you play earns you Wampa coins. You can use these Wampa coins to unlock new characters, tracks, outfits, everything under the sun basically. What's really insane about this game's lasting power though is that Beenox has big plans in terms of post-launch content for this game. It's called the Grand Prix, and it'll come in these seasonal packages that contain new characters, tracks, and all sorts of items for you to play with. The first one is coming towards us on July 3rd, so we don't even have to wait that long for more content to come our way. The best part about these packages is that they are free. No microtransactions come with this content, and it really just shows the dedication these developers have towards providing an amazing kart racing experience. I made a full video on these features if you would like to check that out. So not only is the core experience of this game just a fun, riveting kart racer with tons of dimensions to it, there's also what feels like endless amounts of content coming our way for years to come, and I for one am very excited to continually play this game in the coming months. The game isn't perfect like any game obviously. My biggest gripe with the game is probably how long the loading times are. It's not Sonic 06 long, but in this day and age, loading times should be getting shorter. This just especially caught my attention because this was also one of the main issues with the Insane trilogy. Maybe there's just so much they put into this game that it was difficult to optimize it anymore, but I just feel like since it was an issue with the Insane trilogy, it should have at least been improved on over here. Also, this is really not a huge critique and this is pretty subjective, but I personally felt like there was a huge spike in difficulty between easy and medium in adventure mode. As someone who only dedicated at most 4 hours to the original game and the demos before this game's launch, I was able to sprint through adventure mode on easy within 2 hours. But as soon as I switched to medium, I found myself having to try almost every other track 10 times before I was able to win. Maybe it's just me, but I just felt like medium felt more like hard. So I can only imagine what hard is actually like. But these are really minor faults at best, and they don't detract from the game at all. If there's anything I really want to thank Beenox for, it's for making this game so much more accessible to new players of the game. They obviously put a lot of emphasis in pleasing players that grew up with the game and made it a goal to provide a faithful experience. At the same time, they also did things such as helping new players get accustomed to the mechanics while simultaneously bringing in content from other Crash games, whether it be full-on characters and tracks or just simple nods to the franchise's history to make newer Crash fans like me feel welcome to what feels like a cult classic. So thank you, Beenox, for all your hard work and dedication towards making, as far as I'm concerned, the best kart racer I've ever played. And so I really wanted to close off this review with saying something that I think is going to be really important to not just the Crash franchise, but almost any franchise in general that wants to cash in on this remake trend. I really think Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled has set a standard for remakes now. Crash and Spyro did a really great job of starting these trends of just remastering old games and bringing them to like a brand new audience. But Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled took that a step further and not only did that, but added on tons of content to make the experience bigger than it ever ever was before. And I honestly think that's the new standard for remakes now. You know, with remakes, we shouldn't just be okay with them just porting the game over, making fancy new graphics, and calling it a day. You know, we should really expect publishers and developers to do more with remakes now, because a remake is not as difficult as making a brand new game from top to bottom. You know, you have a format to follow, you have something in front of you as a reference to kind of guide you in how to make the game. So there should be more responsibility in adding more onto that, you know, making the experience even bigger and making it even better than it was in the past. And so I honestly think that Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled accomplished its goal of not just delivering a great crash racing experience, but really setting a standard of how remakes should be handled in the future. And I really hope that like Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated keeps this in mind in particular. Like, I know they're already adding in cut content and stuff, so they're already on the right path, but I really hope that that game, along with any other remake that gets announced from here on out, doesn't just settle porting the old game over, that they actually focus on implementing new kinds of content into the game as well. And that is my overall opinion on Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. So thank you all so much for watching this. If y'all like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter or Twitch, and join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on what you think about this game as well. Shout out to Reese Gaming, my one and only Patreon. He actually got to see this video a little bit before you all did, and so if you all want that same opportunity, then consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member right now, and you will get early access to my next review along with a whole bunch of other perks. So please take a look at that and consider doing that. But yeah, thank you all so much, and thank you for just making this so much fun. All right, this is Riders, riding out.